The term friendship is said to be a relationship of mutual affection between people, and we celebrate it in a variety of different ways. Friendship bracelets, favorite songs, even matching tattoos. But for two lifelong friends, it manifested into a home that catered to their individual needs, but still read as one cohesive residence. South African homes have really come into their own over the last few decades. Generic imitations have made way for modern masterpieces and character-filled spaces. Finest Homes explores some of these creations, talking to the visionaries that's bringing them to life. Join us as we explore some of these spaces, showcasing the interior design, architecture, and landscape design. Today's feature home is nestled in the lush growth of the Helderberg Basin, overlooking the town of Somerset West. With its tree-lined streets, spectacular mountains and distant sea views, it was the perfect spot for families to build two separate homes that read as one. The architect responsible for this expansive build is Mobasa Mashazhu of G-squared. G-squared is a Cape Town-based architectural practice that prides itself on delivering projects that are imaginatively conceived, well-designed, and respond entirely to client objectives and aspirations. With a body of work that encapsulates modern architecture and that is brought to life with an understanding of layered materials, I can't wait to see what Mobasa created here at the foot of the Helderberg Mountains. As you enter the property, it becomes immediately apparent that the architect has considered the selling points of this property. A glass passage allows visitors to enjoy the far-stretching views upon arrival. How are you?
Good, good.
Good.
You?
Very well, thank you.
Nice.
Mobasa, standing here on street level, it's hard to imagine that you've created something that will house two separate families.
Yeah, so there's actually 2 units on this property and 3 levels. We're standing on the top level currently. So this is where you enter from, and there's 2 more levels underneath.
That blows my mind because upon driving in here, it looks like one level, but meanwhile, there's so much more. Tell me about the brief for this particular project.
Yeah, so this was actually quite a special brief. 2 lifelong friends that came to us and said they had bought a beautiful piece of property and wanted 2 units that would look like one but function as 2, with some auxiliary spaces that would be shared between the 2 units. And they wanted something modern, but also very minimalist. And that's what we tried to give them.
Well, you've piqued my interest. I would love to see what awaits us beyond these doors.
Yeah, join me.
Let's go. Making your way through one of the wood-cladded concealed doors, you are welcomed by an expansive rooftop entertainment area that can be used by both households. Wow, that is priceless. Perfect for sundowners with friends and family, the structure reads as open and low maintenance, thanks to the greenery of the artificial lawn. So this lies beyond these doors. Absolutely incredible. Mobasa, I want to know, what kind of challenges did you experience with this specific sloped site?
The thing is, we actually didn't see them as challenges at all. When you work in Cape Town and you build in Cape Town, building on a slope becomes sort of second nature in residential design. We actually let the slope inform the design, and that's why you enter on the 2nd floor, and then the site cascades onto the ground floor. So one of the positive things about working on a slope site is that you get beautiful panoramic views. And what we tried to do was work with the slope and step down and cascade onto the ground story. So you still get the entrance level, but then at the bottom you still get to be on the natural ground level. Get some nice strong shadows here.
This is very nice.
Yeah, so no handrail.
In essence, one could say the house was built stepping down into the land, following the natural slope. In this particular unit, sitting right below the entertainment area is the main bedroom and 2 guest bedrooms. There is openness throughout this unit, with double and even 3 stories exposed in some sections. The interior for this particular unit was designed and implemented by the team at G-squared, adding to a feeling of refined sophistication with a nod to considered contemporary design. The materials used add to a sense of pared-back elegance, while the floor-to-ceiling windows invite the outside in. Cantilevered stairs with a wire detail seem to effortlessly guide you between the different floors, ending at the bottom of the house where open-plan kitchen, dining and lounge sets the tone for comfortable living. Mobasa, we spoke about the basic brief for this project, but how did you ensure that both homes encapsulate the owner's specific styles while creating a building that sits as one within the space?
So we were actually very fortunate in this instance because the two owners are very good friends and they also have a similar style. So that allowed us to almost design the two units as one. So how we translated the client's brief into architecture was by creating something modern. The way we did that is by using very simple materials, strong linear lines, and the way we played with the levels.
The modular design of this property kind of lends itself to a timeless simplicity, which I absolutely love. But I think the materials that were used create a very layered texture. What materials did you use that kind of came from the outside and that was used on the inside?
So the nice thing about this design is we actually used a very minimal and natural palette, mostly because the clients are away for decent periods of time, and we wanted a material palette that would age gracefully without a lot of maintenance. From the outside, we used materials such as stone, off-shutter concrete, and timber, and you see those materials also sipping into the house. So you've got a lot of timber, you've got the off-shutter concrete that is back-to-back from the outside to the inside, and then we also employed glass as a material because it allows you to see through the house.
So let's talk about this particular architectural design. How did you come up with this design instead of what would look like a normal townhouse design?
Yeah, so the clients were very specific that they wanted two units that had communal spaces that they could both use. So instead of doing two units that were on top of each other, we were fortunate that the site was big enough to do two units that were L-shaped. And that's mostly because of the weather as well. We were shielding ourselves from the wind, but also wanted to create the two separate units. And the way we did that was by introducing a central courtyard that had the two circulation spaces adjacent to it. Fun fact, that courtyard actually has 5 olive trees, one for each member of the household.
That's amazing. What I also love about this space is it reads as two separate entities with a beautiful communal space. But let's say down the line, should the owners decide to sell, it also reads as one space.
Yeah, we also wanted to future-proof the house in case things change. So we considered all these options in the design.
Because the property is shared by two families that have known each other for many years, the owners made the decision to only have one pool. This integrates the units while creating a cohesive garden space. A fun element is the incorporation of a hidden wine cellar behind a cladded stone wall, adding to the layers of this beautifully complex yet livable design. Stay with us as after the break we take a peep into the other unit of this finest home, chatting to Kim de Villiers of the Mood Collectives about the execution of that interior. In today's episode of Finest Homes, we're visiting a house on the slopes of the Helderberg mountain range above Somerset West. A house designed for two families that were looking to share a property while enjoying their own authentic design styles and living spaces. The architect responsible for this project is Mobasa Mashazhu of G-squared, a Cape Town-based architecture firm that specializes in imaginatively conceived, well-designed, client-driven designs. Before the break, Mobasa took me on a journey from the street level, where the house reads as a single-story dwelling, through the house and onto the entertainment area, where the full scope of the project can be enjoyed. The interior of one of the units was done by the team at G-squared, a space that speaks of minimal sophistication and easy open-plan living. For the other unit, design duo Kim de Villiers and Cynthia Chasteau de Ballion of the Mood Collectives were called in to translate the owner's vision into a space that complements the architecture, while creating a home away from their European home. I sat down with Kim to get all the details. Kim, this is a gorgeous space. I have so many questions, but let's start off with, what was the brief for this particular space?
Thanks, Leanne. Yes, for this space, we initially met Hans-Peter and Nora when they came into our showroom, which is here in Somerset West, and the brief at that stage was for a sofa.
Wow.
Luckily for us, that brief grew. Being from Europe, they wanted the modern clean lines, which was definitely our starting point. And when we saw the architecture of the home, we realized that definitely, the design perspective leans itself to the architecture of the home as well. So that's where we started with the brief, was our minimalism, modern, sort of based on that sort of European style that they were accustomed to.
I love it. I think you touched on it a little, but I just want to broaden out on how the architecture of this space informed how you designed the interior space.
Well, I think for us, and I think that the house speaks for itself. Yeah. I mean, this architecture is amazing, let's face it. So we have these views which are phenomenal, and then we're working with these textures which we absolutely love. So it's the off-shutter concrete, it's the timber floors, we've got timber outside, we've got the rock over there. It's really, really stunning. So basically for us, we needed to put pieces in here that complements and works with this style. We didn't want to overwhelm the space. So our design style is very much minimalistic and modern. So this was an absolute pleasure to work on and with the clients, with Hans-Peter and Nora, because their vision was very much what we visualized in this type of space. For us, what was very important in using the different materials was, again, just to accent what we've already got. So if you look around, for instance, in the living room, we've used leathers, we've used chrome, we've used beautiful hand-tufted woolen rugs. We've got marble on the coffee table. So we love that. We love textures, we love neutrals, we love naturals, and we bring that all together. And we really believe by doing that, it actually creates quite a calming effect. What we did upstairs, for instance, in the bedrooms, is we very much played on the sweeping views of the ocean, the sea sand, and we've got all our neutral colors up there, and you'll see we've got lovely creams, which for us was sort of, bringing through that sandy color. We believe a bedroom needs to be very calm. We also believe bedrooms, particularly main bedrooms, need to be not too feminine, not too masculine. So therefore, you will see in the bedrooms, we've used all those neutrals. So one of the things we really do enjoy when we're doing projects, particularly projects like this, is we have custom-made furniture made up. We believe that it really is important for each piece to have its place. We find that the good old-fashioned bed-base, mattress and headboard, we don't need that anymore. To walk into your bedroom and to have this luxurious upholstered bed. The bedrooms really invite you to want to spend time in there, snuggle up, enjoy, grab a book, and just enjoy, again, the beautiful views, and enjoying the time in your bedroom.
Kim, when you have a theme that leans more towards minimalism, what would be your top tip in making it all work together beautifully?
So, very interesting question. Minimalism is not as simple and easy as what a lot of people might think it is, because you don't just put one or two things down and call it minimalism. So for us, and that's where we come back to texture. So for us, a minimalist space must still be an inviting and warm environment, and that's where texture comes in, and that's where we love using your linens, again, your leathers, your hides. You know, put a hide on the floor, it's there but it's not there, and those pieces need to be considered pieces because you only have a few to work with, and they need to work really well together to give that space the comfortable feel that you still need it to have, and not cold and clinical.
Were there any challenges that you experienced working in this particular space?
I think open plan spaces always give us a little bit of a challenge, because what you need to do in an open plan space is each area needs to have its own identity but yet work together. So if anything, this space we've sort of needed to, it's the living room, it's the dining room, and it's the kitchen. So the challenge is always exactly that, is making those three spaces work together so that when you walk into that space, you can see the three different areas. They each have their own identity, but yet they're all slightly different, and they have their own function.
In a space that's quite muted, I did pick up that there is some gorgeous pops of color, like what's on the wall behind you.
We love what's on the wall behind us. So we commissioned that art, and the inspiration behind it was exactly that. Even though everything's muted and we've got our textures, we do always feel that we do just need that little piece de resistance, that little pop of color. And that particular piece for us, which Vicky Sanders did for us, we felt that if you look at the views that you're seeing, you've got the sea, the blues of the sea, we've got the greens from the trees down there, we've got those beautiful lilac jacaranda trees, and we feel that's all encaptured within that artwork, and that just brings everything together, your outside and your inside. And that to us was just that sort of final piece we needed to put in here, just to bring the whole space together.
After the break, we sit down with interior designer Anna Correa to talk about the art in the home and how you can create a unique design scheme using your own artwork. In today's episode of Finest Homes, we're visiting a house that initially reads as one, but effortlessly caters for two families. A vision brought to life by G-squared architects Mobasa Mashazhu took us through the design and how the final product speaks to the needs of the homeowners. We sat down with Kim de Villiers of the Mood Collectives to get more details on the interior of one of the units. Beautifully pared back rooms with a strong pull towards a modern European aesthetic. Known for her comfortable contemporary designs with a twist, I sat down with Anna Correa to talk art and how you can create a unique design scheme at your home. Anna, our feature house had a custom artwork that captured the colors of the surrounding landscape. It was absolutely awesome. The thing is, art plays such a pivotal role in our homes, yet so many of us are skeptical as to where to start.
The whole thing with art is that I find it's incredibly personal, and you shouldn't just buy art for the sake of buying something to put on your wall. If you're going to buy it, you must make sure it's something that you absolutely love and that you can relate to. And if you're really unsure about what type of art to purchase, I highly recommend investing in an art curator. They are really fantastic. They'll come meet with you, they will come look at the home space and guide you through the process to select art that's actually more suited to you and your personality.
Anna, we tasked you with designing a scheme around one of your favorite art pieces. What did you choose and what do you love most about it?
I actually decided to go with a print that I brought back from one of my travels when I was in Spain. I went to the Picasso Museum, and this is actually a print by an artist called Jackson Pollock. It's energy made visible. I love it so much because I love the movement in it. I love all the colors. The colors relate very much to me and my personality. I love working with the basis of a black and white scheme and then being able to layer the scheme with like different pops of color. So it's definitely one of my favorite prints.
So for anyone who has a cherished piece of artwork like you do, how would you suggest that they incorporate it into their homes?
So I think firstly, most importantly, they must decide where in the home they would like to hang this art piece. Okay. And then, you know, what type of space is that room going to be used for? Is it going to be a living room? Is it going to be a dining room? And then what I would do is I would just work with a neutral base and layer it with colors that actually come from that painting, so that you're not fighting with the painting, but then the painting actually speaks for itself in the space.
Oh, so is that why you often see artwork displayed on a neutral wall or even a white wall?
Yes, absolutely, because I think especially with contemporary art, you kind of want the art to like pop out from the wall and to the room as well, where I think where sometimes if you have like a really like classical art piece and it might come across a little bit more severe, it will be more suited to a wall that's maybe got like a darker neutral tone, like a dark grey, and that would actually complement that type of artwork. But for contemporary, I always recommend going with a white or a soft neutral grey.
Well, Anna, I see a plethora of materials and textiles in front of us here. Tell me exactly what is going on here and how does one incorporate this into an interior scheme?
So what I thought I would do was actually bring, you know, different types of interior finishes and soft furnishings that one could use to complement a contemporary art piece. So the pieces that I have selected, I feel are more suited to my artwork that I'm showing today, because this is a contemporary piece for me. So I've decided to go with contemporary finishes and beautiful pops of color.
Wonderful.
So I think to start from the bottom, I love using engineered wooden floors as hardwood flooring. I think it's really stunning. It's a classic look and it's timeless, so it's definitely not something that you would get bored with over time. And then in terms of paint finishes, again, a neutral base. I love working with like the soft neutrals of the greys and the whites for the walls. And then just to add like a little bit of kick to the interior finishes, I always think it's awesome to use mirror, because it just adds such a dimension and depth to a space. Especially if you work with mirror that has an antique finish. It really just makes a beautiful statement in a room. And then, you know, when it comes to the interior decorating of a space, again, I'm a big lover of wallpaper. I love working with textured wallpapers. The more texture, the better for me. And I love working with black as well. I think it's actually a perfect neutral color to add to a space. And then when we start going on to the soft finishes, in general, as it's just like a basic rule and guideline I do for myself, I love to work with like the neutral colors, but then I would mix it up with different textures. So we'll have like a tweed and maybe a bit of velvet and a chenille fabric. And then I start layering the space with the pops of color, for instance, that I would take from this art piece. So here I've got some like really cool, like geometric cut velvets. And those who don't want to go so bold, you can go for something a little bit more pushed and laid back. And I love linens, but I love working with linens that have pops of color. So it kind of gives like that really cool, like contemporary edge to a space. And then also leather. Leather is also great to use, very durable. It also adds a beautiful classic dimension. In terms of window treatments, I'm not one for heavy draping and heavy curtaining. For me, the lighter, the better. Less is more. So I love working with just sheer curtains. And finally, when it comes to, you know, doing like the bits and bobs of small accessory pieces and furniture, you know, you can bring in different elements of woods. You can work with your dark woods and you can work with your natural oaks. Beautiful to work with the Emperador, the emerald green marble, as well as the Calacatta. And then brass has also become a very popular finish at the moment. And lastly, the final thing for pulling a room together is a beautiful rug. It just absolutely anchors any room together. So I've gone and chosen a beautiful hand woven boucle rug.
So Anna, I think the moral of the story is don't incorporate all of this at the same time, but choose your hero pieces here and there, right?
Absolutely. And I think also make very good choices when it comes to your interior finishes, because these are, they're pretty much to stay. You can't easily just change them over time. But if you choose a few bits of accessory colors, like when it comes to your cushions, that's something you can change at any time. Let's say, for instance, you get bored of that color or pattern.
That's it for this week. Do join us again next week as we bring you another finest home.